so kind as do roll call.
Absolutely. Online, it looks like, sorry, we have Bryce Christian, Cheryl Hartman, Christina Dewar, Alicia Buckholz, Eric Dixon, Irene Wara, Katie Fairbanks, MCAT, Melissa Cooper. 206, we have Commissioner Strohmeyer, Slotnick, and Vero. Carrie Powers, Allison Grant, John Hart, Chris Lonsbury, myself, Annie Cathy, Maddie Scott, Ann Hughes. And we have Griffin Smith, and a new attendee is Linda Winters.
Welcome. Hey, Linda.
Okay, thank you, Annie. Is there any public comment on items not on today's agenda? Seeing none, we'll roll right into the consent agenda. We have a couple items that are being pulled off and will be taken up later. So we are looking at items 1 through 11 and number 14. Any questions from anyone?
Do you know much about numbers 8 and 9, the additional weed control in the Blackfoot Potomac?
Price
is on it.
Oh, great.
Bryce, do you have any clarification?
I don't know if I have any clarification necessarily, but we're the road work from WMA is to support some of the wildlife habitat improvement project WIP grant through FWP that we have in the Blackfoot area. So we're doing roadside work that's adjacent to the private property parcels that are managing invasive species in that area. So focus on those priority species to make sure we don't have reinfestation on those private lands. And then the work with Montour Creek is in the Potomac area, where we've partnered with Citizens for a Weed-Free Future to do cost share work on private lands to mitigate the oxeye daisy infestations up there. So we coordinate with the private lands and coordinate with the commercial applicator to make sure they know where they're going out there to get a better price for us and for the private landowners out there.
Great. Remember some folks in
I was going to say, does Ryan know that this is happening in Potomac? I'm sure he does.
I had discussed this project with him
Great.
when we talked this spring. I haven't followed up with him in a good bit, but
Do you-
he was
if you-
aware that we were doing this cost share work up there.
We just
Would
bought
you-
a horse from him. We can remind
Would you
him.
mind, could you send him a 1-sentence email saying this is happening? Just because
Sure.
he's of the mind that it will never happen.
Yeah, I know. And I'm excited to also talk to him about the approval of an oxeye daisy biocontrol agent that we are,
Great.
where it should have approval this November. And then we're looking for sites within Missoula County to start establishing and monitoring that as well. So
Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, please do let him know about all of that.
I will do that.
Thank you.
There's some site at near the junction of the Clearwater and the Blackfoot that could use some
Yeah.
oxide daisy mitigation if you need a place. What's
Okay.
the biocontrol? What is it?
The agent isn't that showy. It's a fly. Again, they're still working out approval. These will be the first releases in North America once we have this approval. So we're looking here and a couple other sites across Montana. But yeah, it's a seed head feeder.
Cool. Thanks.
Sounds
Any other questions about anything?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, this is for items 1 through 11 and 14. Any further discussion or public comment on these items? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have 2 action items today. Who is bringing us the Lolo sewer RSID issue?
I will give it a shot in Shane's absence today. So this is a project that's been a few years in the making. When ARPA funding became available, obviously that was targeted at water, wastewater districts, and we had some things in Lolo that needed to be improved. So we were working with HDR. They completed a design and bid package. We went out for bids about this time last year. And when the bids came in, they were over our allocated funding, which was about 5.8 million. Prospects Prospect Construction had the lowest bid at a combined total with a base bid, and I think there were 6 bid alternatives at 7.8 million. So we had to work through some things with HDR and Prospect to negotiate some changes in the design to accommodate the bare minimum, well, not the bare minimum, but the desired improvements that were needed, and then pare down some of the additional work. So all told, we were able to get Prospect to work with us. So this first action item is to award the bid in the original amount of $6,635,700. That is just to take care of the original bid items, and then if we can just roll right into to both of them. The second item is a change order that will reduce the actual work to fit within the $5.8 million budget. So some things were moved, other items were changed within the original design to still provide the service that we needed, but just at a little better cost.
So for those who are just looking at this, the RCA here, Eric, it could be a little confusing. So are these completely separate? So we're approving a not to exceed $6.6 million contract with Prospect, but then immediately reducing the amount, or are these separate things?
That's correct. So there are 2 separate actions. One is an immediate award of the bid. And then, yes, then the next action item is to turn around and reduce the overall contract through a change order. I'm not really sure why we didn't just work with one action item for a negotiated agreement, but this is the way it was presented.
Does anyone have clarification why we did not?
Just do one of them for 5 instead of one for 6 and then change it to make it 5.
I have a guess, but it is a guess.
What is the guess?
So Eric, when you put these out, you put them out to bid, correct? Not through an RFP or an RFQ. So they were required to give you a total price.
Yeah. So
For that, and
so
so
I guess that would be
I
it.
believe we are obligated under our procurement policy to award the bid to the lowest responsible bidder, which in this case was Prospect. Did you say it was? Yeah,
Yes.
Prospect Construction. And then through a change order, we can modify that
We
process
reduce-
through a standard, which is reducing it to fit inside the budget. I believe because of the instrument that we use to procure, that's why we have to do it as a change order as opposed to a
Right.
change to the actual amount that was bid to the original document that was released for public bidding.
That's a good guess.
That is.
And that does explain it better. Yes.
So,
Okay, and so what do we get for the total amount after the reduction, Eric?
Oh, it's tough to.
Well, in general.
So we're getting improvements and upgrades to the treatment plant itself. And we had originally hoped to provide a force main along Lakeside Drive. That was, I think, one of the biggest items that was removed. The other items that were removed were fencing around the plant, an automatic gate, some paving in the yard. But we're getting an upgrade to all the treatment systems within the plant itself. In a nutshell.
Is this provide the redundancy that I remember Shane saying was sorely needed, but doesn't quite get us to where we need to be to accommodate growth and new hookups?
Correct. Yeah. This is just to work within the existing system and existing capacity.
Funded through ARPA, not local property.
Which is fantastic. Yeah.
Right.
Give that money back.
Yes. Will not be giving this money back.
All right, I would move we do items 1 and 2.
Second.
Any further discussion or public comment on these improvements to the Lolo RSID wastewater system funded by ARPA? All in favor?
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Question, so it
Yes.
is all funded by ARPA dollars?
one more time. It is all funded 100% by ARPA.
Okay.
That's federal.
That's all I.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's done.
She was coming from the
Thank you.
Griffin Smith lunch account. You have to carry your own from now on.
That concludes all of our business for today.
Thank you.
Right. Thanks, everyone.